This is the House Republican press conference. It's like a half an hour long. I'll just play a couple of minutes. I'm assuming that they have a period where they do a Q&A, so not sure exactly how long that the initial speech goes, but I'll play it for a few minutes to see where it goes. And then after this, I also have from the Senate Democrats. So I got both sides. So I got their press conference, got the Republicans' press conference. So I figured we'd hear a little bit from both and kind of see which side's talking about what. I can only take a guess. All right, so here we go. Guess I got to find the beginning first. There we are.
Welcome to day 28 of the Democrat shutdown. We're almost a month into this. And
Only
we
one
want
more
to
week till it
highlight a
breaks the
couple of
record.
things and a few members this morning. There are some very important developments. But before we get to all that, one of the things that we wanted to note is that really it's painfully obvious to everyone the true motivation of the Democrats' historic obstruction has now become very clear for everyone.
Illegal aliens.
I want to use a little simple, Lily, if you show me this real quick.
They want to keep their voters.
Because these things get obscured too much. But there are simple facts about the Democrat shutdown that everybody needs to recognize. Here's 4 of them. First of all, we have to have Democrats to reopen the government. You know that in the Senate it requires 60 votes to break an impasse.
I'm glad he's starting with that.
Keep it close to the
Lead
podium.
with that.
I want everybody to see this, okay? We're gonna make it simple. I had my
Yeah, because I've shown it over and over and over and over again that Democrats, what they keep tweeting out every day, what they keep communicating is that Republicans control the Senate, not the Democrats, because they're expecting their constituency to be low IQ and not understand that in the Senate, you do need 60 votes, which means if you have a simple majority, like a democracy, that's not how things play out in the Senate. That ain't how it works.
15-year-old son and some of his friends were together over the weekend, and they wanted me to explain it to them as simply as possible. This is the little formulation, okay? Hey, fellas, remember from civics, you got to have 60 votes in the Senate.
Yeah.
We only have 53 Republicans.
I do remember that.
So we must have Democrats to do it. The Democrats are out trying to claim that this is all on Republicans because we control the government. We don't control the Senate without 60 votes.
We don't.
So you
It
have to
ain't a
have
democracy in the
Now
Senate.
they voted 13 times, those Senate Democrats. Counting the House and the Senate together, they voted 13 times to
Democrats
keep the government
desperately
closed.
want that.
And what they're demanding as a ransom to reopen the government are some really crazy things. They want to restore $200 billion in health benefits paid for by U.S. taxpayers to illegal aliens and non-citizens.
Now, look, I mentioned this yesterday. My initial immediate first question is that $200 billion exclusively to illegal aliens? Is that specifically mentioned in their counter legislation, which Democrats did propose? It was something like 57 pages. And they do want hundreds of billions of dollars to healthcare. I heard $1 trillion in total for healthcare over the next 10 years. And if that's the case, then that probably is legit. That $200 billion would be used specifically to, as the Democrats say, quote unquote, non-citizens, because that's how they frame it.
We can't do that. They want billions of dollars in wasteful programs to be returned to foreign countries for things that none of you would agree with. We are not going to do that. They want $500 million to go back to left-leaning news organizations, paid for by taxpayers. We can't do that. And then they want to cut $50 billion from the rural.
No, dude, how can you, as a news agency, how can you hold the government accountable and represent the people when the government is cutting your paychecks? It makes no sense, man. Those government-funded news agencies should have never existed in the first place, in my opinion.
Hospital fund.
Just my
Republicans
opinion.
got signed into law July 4th to prop up health care in red states and rural areas around the country. It's too important, but they want to take that away. They know that we can't do it. And now that they've begun to admit what this is all about, thanks, Lee, put it on the thing there. They're admitting what they're up to. Chuck Schumer said every day of the shutdown gets better for us, meaning the Democrat Party. And you know, we had the second-ranked Democrat in the House, the minority whip, who just said a few days ago, the end of last week, that we know that this is causing great pain for the American people, but we have to use this leverage.
Oh, it's about to get a lot worse.
Where we have leverage like this.
If this SNAP benefits thing is everything that they claim it's going to be.
But ultimately,
42 million, no benefits for food.
Let me summarize this really quickly.
We're talking Great Depression level shit.
As simply as I can for the civic students back home. Republicans
Which of course
are
that
not
could just
demanding
be playing
anything,
politics.
literally nothing. All we want is to reopen the government. The Democrats are demanding all those things I just showed you on the chart.
Yeah, he is right about
When I
that.
say they want to send money to foreign countries, this is some of the things that they're that they would propose that we spend money on again. They're demanding, this is a
All
ransom.
right, I'll let him go
reopen the
through that, and
government.
then I'll go to the next
Things
thing.
like $4 million for global LGBTQI plus awareness campaigns around the world. $4 million for the LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Balkans.
QIA.
They want $2 million for feminist democratic principles projects in Africa. We're not doing that. But again, the question is why? Why?
Yeah, why?
This sounds
like for
crazy.
real,
It
why?
is. Why would they do this?
It's all part of their Great Reset agenda. All the roads lead to depopulation. They want 100 million people at most around the world, and turning everybody gay and encouraging abortions, whether if it's 2 months along, 2 weeks along, or 9 months along, and also pitting women against men, which of course the algorithms and social media, they've been doing a hell of a job at that in the last 10 years or so.
And what we saw on vivid display over the weekend was the re-emphasis of this fact. This is motivated purely out of fear. And what do we mean by that? You saw the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, endorse Zoran Mamdani for mayor of New York City.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so he's going to get into more details on that, but I'll repost that if you want to check that out. A link to my X profile is in the description below. Or you can just go straight to House GOP. This was posted 11 hours ago, 9:54 a.m. today, or at least as of this recording. So this comes from Senate Democrats. So we'll take a few minutes and see what they're saying. What are they talking about over on their side? Looks like it starts up around here, perhaps, or not.
Crisis.
There we go. Yeah, it took them a lot longer to get to the podium.
For being here.
All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. And
Good afternoon, Chucky.
Murray and Baldwin for being here.
At this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority.
Now, where are the Republicans? House Republicans are on week
they're on
5 of their
vacation.
vacation. Trump's
No, they're not.
even in the United States.
You know what? Just as many Republicans are on vacation as Democrats. I bet it's even, Steven.
Republicans are running exactly the same failed play that brought America to its knees. Americans are on the brink of a health care crisis, unlike any we have seen in our lifetimes. In states like New Jersey, health care costs are projected to soar by 175%. In New York, the average family, with a plan costing $280 a month, will pay $1,700 a month.
No, they're not. They're just going to cancel it.
This isn't just a number on a page. Families are going to be in panic this weekend. All across America, millions of them. How are they going to pay this bill?
Obamacare,
How are
how
they going to
dare
live
you?
without health care? It's tragic. And of course, it didn't have to be. But Republicans are doing nothing. 1 ounce of urgency.
They didn't create this
to the
monster.
healthcare
Democrats did.
Disaster they created. They're doing nothing about that.
They shouldn't have to do anything.
So
This is your monster.
we're on the precipice of a historic crisis, and Republicans don't even want to talk to us about fixing it.
No, let's
And
repeal
Trump,
it. How about
where's
that?
he? Not even in the U.S. What's he focused on?
He
Trump's
secured his
focused
10th
on
peace deal.
$40 billion for Argentina, $170 million in luxury jets for Kristi Noem, $300 million for his ballroom.
Has nothing to do with the
fact,
shutdown.
His ballroom says that is his main priority. Can you believe that? You can't make this stuff up. His number 1 priority is his ballroom when people are suffering? What kind of president is this?
So I already showed this the other day on my show. It was on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So somebody asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the Rose Garden project that is underway at the White House. And they asked if there were any other projects in addition to the ballroom that are happening at the White House. And she said, no, not at this time. You're correct. There is something going on with the Rose Garden that she briefly went over. But she said the president's main priority is the ballroom. And she was saying that in the context of the question, which was what all is going on the White House property in terms of renovations. So she didn't literally say that, fuck the shutdown. Trump only cares about the ballroom.
Pay for his ballroom and not a dime to stop the health care crisis. Millions of hungry children, families, and veterans are about to lose SNAP benefits. Food on the table. because Trump personally ordered the Department of Agriculture to rip up its own contingency plan. It's a plan that Republicans like Don Bacon and Susan Collins endorsed.
That didn't happen. The money that he's talking about for SNAP benefits is only to be used during a period of national emergency. It's for emergency funds, and the president cannot allocate those funds to SNAP benefits during a shutdown. That would be an act of Congress.
The money is there. The hungry people, the hungry children, the hungry veterans, the hungry elderly could be fed. But Trump's using them as hostages.
Why don't you just reopen the government, dude? Wouldn't that be easier?
With people is this huge ego of Donald Trump. Trump deleted the USDA plan from its website. You can see it. Gone, vanished, and erased.
How can you see it if it's deleted?
Republicans now say the USDA can't use SWAP's emergency fund, but USDA's own shutdown plan said they could and would use it. So this is just pure, vicious hostage-taking.
All right. So it's got like 12 minutes or so. I think I was about even on the time. I mean, it's kind of rich that President Trump worked with the Pentagon to get the troops paid for one more pay period after the shutdown, but Democrats were threatening to take them to court to stop that from happening. So it goes to show who's got the better intentions, really, at least in my opinion. So anyway, it didn't get a lot of attention. It only got 31 likes, but it did get 92 comments. So it was ratioed at 3-1. So, I mean, you know, needless to say, and this is from Senate Democrats. This wasn't reposted by a Republican. This is coming directly from Senate Democrats, like their official government profile. And as far as the comments go, I can only imagine it's probably a lot of people just, look, sign the clean CR hostage taker. Of course, you know, we've got the memes. Okay, I'm going past that. You know, it's not really necessary, I guess. But so Schumer needs to bend the knee. Democrats are going down big in the polls. Oh, good. What are they going to lie about now? So, I mean, you get the idea. But this forum here, this is room for the Democrats. You think that the Democrats would be in this comment section talking about how, yeah, those damn Republicans, evil orange man, but there's really not really much. There might be a few people somewhere in these comments that's talking about how, you know, the Republicans they're the ones that are responsible for this, but they're kind of few and far between, which is kind of crazy. So anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Oh yeah, here, I'll repost it in case you want to check that out either on my profile or you can go straight to Senate Dems and you can see the entire video on there. And that was at 7 hours ago. So that was at 2:37 p.m. today. And I'll move on to the next thing. Congressman Brandon Gill. This is a Democrat shutdown and everybody knows it. Let's do what this says.
Shutdowns are terrible. And of course there will be.
Look, full disclosure, I'm not crazy about these videos. You know, I collect all the information I can within a couple of hours, and then I piece everything together for the show. As far as these go, like it's kind of campaign commercially, and they tend to chop things up and kind of put things out of context here and there. I mean, in my own personal opinion, Democrats are way more effective and way more nefarious with doing that than Republicans tend to be. But Republicans aren't innocent in that either.
Families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have. But it is one of the few leveraged
times. Say they didn't chop up those.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party.
Amen.
And it's the wrong thing for the country in a period
highly
of
respected
chaos. I
for saying
refuse to
that.
vote to shut our government down.
We got to make sure
because Democrats definitely put party over country. Because they're communists.
We got to shut this government down, so be it.
Are Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody.
Whenever you talk about negotiations, House Republicans have done our side of the negotiation. We sent over a clean CR to the Senate. It wasn't filled with Republican or conservative priorities. It was a clean bill that we thought, you know, it's something that Senate Democrats have voted for 13 times in the past, including once this year. So the ball is in their court to reopen the government. We have done our work and they need to do theirs.
All right. Well, to be fair to Brandon Gill, that was not chopped up. They took the statements as they were said. I mean, they didn't do any cutaways in the middle of anybody's sentences or anything. So, you know, I'll give them credit for that. That was a pretty clean video. All right, so RNC Research, Senate Democrats just voted against reopening the government for the 13th time today because they want to fund healthcare for illegals. Motion to invoke cloture on the motion to proceed to the consideration of H.R. 5371, the Continuing Appropriations and Extensions Act. And they voted 54 yay, 45 nay, and of course 60, because this is a Senate, 60 votes are needed for it to be passed. So didn't quite get enough. So therefore, the government remains shut down. And Western Lensman Jasmine Crockett immediately runs the debunked Trump's main priority is the ballroom hoax on her CNN hit. The lie is so egregious, she actually gets fact-checked by Caitlin Collins, which I kind of find that hard to believe, but I guess we'll find out.
This will be the week that Congress comes to an agreement here?
I have no idea. I mean, you started off talking about the fact that the president is in Japan. The president has time to do everything but what he needs to focus on. In fact, we heard
because he's totally sunning on a beach in Japan.
His main priority is the ballroom that no one asked for, the ballroom that requires him to destroy historic pieces of the White House. And so it doesn't seem like he's interested.
And that context of the comment from Caroline Leavitt, she was asked if the president was working on any other renovations when it came to the White House, and she was saying his focus is the ballroom. But to your point about what the president said.
Wow, dude, I am floored. She actually threw that out there. She didn't have to say that, but she did. That was actually kind of amazing, man. That reaffirms what I just said a minute ago. That's exactly what the context was. The reporter was asking her what other renovations are going on at the White House, and because he mentioned the Rose Garden, is there anything else? And she said, not at this time. Those are the only two, the Rose Garden and the ballroom. But President Trump is primarily focused on the ballroom in comparison to those two things. It was that simple. And then you got Chuck Schumer with that big stupid billboard up there saying that, oh, Trump only cares about the ballroom. He could give a fuck less about the government. All right, so also have this follow-up. Tim Wald's parrot debunked lie. The White House press secretary said the top priority is the ballroom. What Leavitt actually said is that the ballroom is Trump's main priority in relation to other potential renovation projects, not other policy matters. Walz is lying again. Of course they are.
They are choosing not to fund these programs. They are choosing to prioritize.
Oh, good. So they have the clip right here.
The secretary said the top priority is the ballroom. We could not disagree more.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly. And so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority.
There you go. That was it. At this point, I really would just have to take that clip. What was that, like a 15-20-second clip? I might as well play that at the beginning of every episode, because Democrats are just going to keep running with that lie over and over again. And it's quite frustrating. But I really, if anything, I should make a note of that and reference this timestamp in this video and say, you can go back and watch it right here. And that's exactly where she said it. And yeah, Trump said nothing about the ballroom being his main priority with regard to the government or anything else. It's only with regard to the White House renovation projects, and that's it. I did hear somebody left a comment. Oh man, I don't have it up in front of me right now, but somebody left a comment in one of my videos from last week saying that the White House Command Center is the actual main project that's going on at the White House, and that the ballroom is just a cover. So I just decided to Google it, and I asked, where is the command center at the White House? And it said it's in a former World War II bunker that was constructed underneath the east wing of the White House, which is exactly what they demolished to make room for the ballroom. So they're building the ballroom like right on top of the command center, but somebody had that, I guess I would call that a conspiracy theory, that it's actually the command center that's being reworked and being upgraded, and that the ballroom is just kind of a cover for that. But all right, anyway, so Leader John Thune, the way out of the Schumer shutdown is the same as it's ever been. We need 5 more Senate Democrats to vote to reopen the government, or they can force families to go without food, the travel situation to get much worse, and millions of Americans to suffer the consequences. And talk about, like, couldn't possibly happen at a worse time, because we got Thanksgiving coming up, and we also have the Christmas season coming up. So you've got a lot of people traveling, That's going to be a nightmare. I mean, I'm glad I don't have any plans to fly anywhere this Christmas season, but I mean, may God be with you if you are, because it sounds like it's going to be a nightmare. Plus, up to 42 million people losing SNAP benefits. Hopefully, as many as possible stocked up in preparation for Thanksgiving, because their benefits are about to dry up in a few days.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's not very often that I get a chance to say this, but I agree with the AFGE, American Federation of Government Employees, who largest government employees.
Yeah, they're calling on Democrats to reopen the government.
This week that
I read that yesterday.
Need to reopen the government and start getting federal employees paid again. And on that point, they are absolutely right. This is going to get worse as the week goes on, as time goes on. You've already seen the impacts. Federal workers missed their first paycheck last Friday. ATC employees are going to miss their paycheck today. If
Air
by
traffic
the end
controllers.
of the week this isn't over, there are going to be 40 million Americans who are not going to have food assistance. And you add on top of that Head Start and
Donate to your local food bank, folks.
People who are getting their medical appointments canceled because of the shutdown. And it needs to end. It just needs to end. And we have made it abundantly clear, every elected official here has made it abundantly clear that we are more than happy to sit down with the Democrats and talk about other issues, whether it's the unaffordability and unsustainability of Obamacare. We're happy to have that conversation, but we can't do it with, as Chuck Schumer has said in the past, a gun to our heads. It's just that simple. So they're going to have several opportunities again to vote to reopen the government, and I sincerely hope, in the best interest of every American who is impacted by this shutdown, and particularly those who are going to be really adversely impacted come this weekend, that enough Democrats will come to their senses and deliver the 5 votes that are necessary to get this bill on the President's desk. And remind everybody knows it, this bill passed the House a month ago. It is sitting at the desk in the Senate. We can pick it up today, pass it, put it on the President's desk. It will be signed into law. The government reopens today.
Okay, all right, I'll just cut it there. By the way, Leader John Thune, he's the Senate Majority Leader. I just thought I would just make a mention of that. So between him and Speaker Mike Johnson, I would say he's probably got more weight in this conversation because he's in the Senate, whereas Speaker Mike Johnson, he's just the Speaker of the House, and they already passed the CR bill in the House. But either way, I mean, it's good to hear their perspective also because, I mean, obviously he's an important figure. So Senator John Barrasso, the day Democrats passed Obamacare, they broke healthcare in America. Democrats created what they are now calling a crisis. Yeah, they absolutely created this crisis. This is 100% on the Democrats, and the Republicans, 0 of them voted for Obamacare, and 0 Republicans voted for any Obamacare subsidies subsequent to Obamacare getting passed. So this is 100% on Democrats.
They broke health care in America. And a headline in the Sunday New York Times proves the point. First 3 words, Obamacare is pricey. That's what they've done. They said, oh, we want to lower the cost of care. They didn't.
So much for Affordable Care Act.
Put the word affordable. There's nothing affordable about it.
There never was.
Obamacare has been pricey from the beginning, and it's getting worse. The Washington Post.
It's never going to get better.
Agrees.
Even if they give them everything they want, it's never going to get better.
The problem is that the Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. That's the Washington Post. They're right. Obamacare is a failed program. It's failed financially. Democrats created it, and they continue to defend the failure today. Democrats tried to prop up Obamacare with very juicy subsidies to try to hold down out-of-pocket costs. Then when Joe Biden became president, Democrats added Biden COVID bonus payments.
Yes, they did in 2022.
On top of all the subsidies.
No Republican support.
These payments are an admission that Obamacare's flaws have only gotten worse.
And guess what? The Democrats, they set an expiration date. Not the Republicans. The Democrats, they set an expiration date for that COVID bonus for the Affordable Care Act to expire in November of 2025. So they can't even put that on Republicans, but they're desperately trying to anyway.
Democrats voted twice to make these Biden COVID bonus payments temporary. The first was scheduled to end in 2022.
Okay, maybe I spoke too soon then.
But they were noting that Obamacare was still failing miserably, so they extended the payments again.
Yes, they did.
Extended them to the end of this year.
Yep. Sure did.
Democrats set the expiration date. Democrats created the cliff. Democrats created what they're now referring to as a crisis.
Yeah, that's straight up fact. That's absolutely what happened. It's absolutely what happened. And they're trying to put all the blame on Republicans, saying that, well, they control Congress, so that means that they're responsible for destroying the Affordable Care Act and everybody's premiums are skyrocketing. No, 100% on Democrats. It always has been. All right, libs of TikTok. Wow, left-wing TikTokers are filming nearly identical anti-Trump, pro-Democrat videos on the shutdown with virtually the same script. Who is paying for this? Who indeed?
I have been a skeptic from the beginning, but I think we're about to find out that the Democratic shutdown strategy was genius because the Washington Post
is hilarious.
A bombshell. Enrollment isn't available yet. What they found is because of Donald Trump, health insurance prices are set to increase by 18% this year, but that's not even close to the whole thing because that 18% price increase doesn't include the subsidies expiring. Once you add in the cost that you're going to have to pay because Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill canceled the subsidies, the average annual cost for individual coverage is going to jump from $888 this year to $1,904 next year. That's a 114% increase in the cost of health insurance in 1 year. And if they find a way to preserve the subsidies, it will be exclusively because Democrats refused to let it go. And because Americans refused to buy the bullshit Republican lie that this was all about providing free health care for illegal aliens. Trump's approval rating has
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty close to on point. I mean, they definitely had a very similar message. Yeah, I don't know. Now that USAID is shut down, I don't know who's paying these guys. All right, Rep. Derek Van Orden press office leaving this here. So he's responding to Senator Tammy Baldwin, who said, I guess cutting billions from SNAP in his big ugly bill wasn't enough for Trump. Now he's choosing, yes, this is a choice to not give families the critical food assistance they need to feed their families. Trump administration won't use contingency fund to pay November food stamp benefits. Well, because he can't, because it's an act of Congress. Congress has to pass that and allocate those funds accordingly. So anyway, Rep. Derek Van Orden said, leaving this here.
Ms. Rosen, no.
They're voting
Ms.
no
Carson,
on the bill.
No. Ms. Baldwin, no.
Ms. Baldwin, no. So they're just showing just the votes for passing the CR bill, I'm assuming. So that was on the 26th. And then he posted that, what was that, yesterday? So that they may have had a vote yesterday, or maybe it was the 12th time that they voted against reopening the government. And yeah, just illustrating that Senator Tammy Baldwin just simply voted on camera, no, we're not going to reopen the government, because by doing so, you will just have the ability to open up all those SNAP benefits that are about to expire all in one fell swoop. It'll take minutes to reopen the government, but they don't have any interest in doing that. Senator John Cornyn saying the quiet part out loud from Senate Republicans. Chris Coons believes that denying Americans their SNAP benefits may be unpleasant, but it's worth doing because it gives Democrats political leverage. Absolutely deranged.
Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Frankly, this is our only moment of leverage, and although a very unpleasant tool to use.
All right, there you go. That's the leverage. They've got leverage now. All right, Rapid Response 47, National Air Traffic Controllers Association President Nick Daniels speaks. Let's hear what he has to say.
Day in, day out, that's now the life of an air traffic controller. The people tasked with making the impossible possible are having it made impossible by not paying them again. So the message is simple. In the shutdown today, there is no excuse that these hardworking men and women are showing up to do this job and to not ever know when they're going to get paid again. So we need America's help, we need you to stand up, and we need you to say, enough is enough in this shutdown and ensure that we can
contact your senators if you live in a blue state.
Telling you the sad story.
Get a hold of their office.
Be up here telling you how we're moving this system forward, how we're bringing in more air traffic controllers than ever, how we're modernizing this system to, serve the American people. So, again, cannot stress enough. If you want to take action, contact your congressional representative and tell them in the shutdown today.
Yeah, get a hold of your senator. That's who you got to get a hold of. Get a hold of your senator. If you have a Democrat senator, definitely got to do that. I mean, they're not going to answer the phone, most likely. So just leave like a couple dozen messages, just calling over and over again. All right, Senate Republicans, this is a lie. Senator Schumer has voted against funding SNAP 13 times in the last month alone. He's trying to blame the president, but Schumer has a reality problem. Emergency SNAP funding cannot legally be used to fund regular benefits. What's worse, Senator Schumer was warned this would happen. On October 10th, the USDA warned him that if his shutdown continued, SNAP would run out of money. Schumer ignored this warning, choosing instead to pursue his political grandstanding against the president. The only way to fund SNAP is for Schumer to end his cruel manufactured shutdown. He should make the right decision and put country over party. And from Chuck Schumer, millions of hungry families are about to lose SNAP benefits to buy food. There are $5 billion in emergency funds that could be used right now to ensure parents and kids don't go hungry when SNAP runs out this Saturday. But Donald Trump has ordered them not to use this funding. No, he hasn't. He doesn't have any power to do that. He can't direct them to do anything with that money. That would be an act of Congress. Senator Deb Fischer, now we're hearing what the Democrats truly believe. Chris Coons, okay, so we already heard that, which, by the way, was 12 hours ago. I'm assuming that he probably said that maybe last night at the latest. All right, so moving on to House Committee on Education and Workforce. Workers, families, and small businesses are getting crushed by the Democrats' government shutdown. Small businesses can't access loans. Furloughed workers can't support their local economies. This chaos has to end. This is from foxnews.com. And we've got down here, first on Fox. All right, small business owners are losing billions in funding due to the shutdown. Industry leaders are had published a letter Monday demanding lawmakers pass a clean CR and reopen the federal government. Quote, on behalf of our organizations representing millions of entrepreneurs and small business owners, we are calling on U.S. senators to put an end to the instability and hardship by passing a clean continuing resolution, which will allow negotiations to continue on spending measures moving through Congress, including the future of the COVID credits that will expire at year end. A letter addressed to U.S. senators across the board and first obtained by Fox News Digital states, the viability of thousands of small businesses is at risk due to the shutdown, and it is unacceptable that the livelihoods of owners and their employees are being sacrificed for spending demands that can be resolved through regular order. The letter was signed by 6 industry groups, including the Family Business Coalition, International Franchise Association, Job Creators Network, National Association of Wholesale Distributors, National Restaurant Association, and the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council. The government shut down on October 1st. Yes, of course we know. Anyway, one side blaming the other. The letter urged lawmakers to reopen the government while pointing to a handful of examples of how Americans are suffering due to the shutdown, including small business owners losing out on billions in funding. And according to the Small Business Administration, 4,800 small businesses have been blocked from receiving $2.5 billion in capital since the start of the shutdown, the groups warned. Every day the shutdown continues means another 320 small businesses will not have access to SBA-backed commercial loans. So they're not grants, they're actual loans these businesses were counting on for expansion and growth. Hundreds of thousands of workers are impacted by the suspension through furloughs, reduced jobs and wages, along with missed opportunities for local economies. The Small Business Administration released data earlier in October showing 320 small businesses owners have lost $170 million in funding each day due to the shutdown, which has resulted in almost $2.5 billion in funding that cannot be delivered to business owners. White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers told Fox Digital that the Democrat shutdown has caused chaos that is gripping business owners, no matter the size of the company. From Wall Street to Main Street, the Democrat shutdown has generated unnecessary chaos and economic uncertainty. Millions of small businesses and entrepreneurs have made it very clear it's time for Senate Democrats to pass the clean continuing resolution, reopen the government, and stop using Americans as leverage for their radical policies, Rogers said. And looks like this is the letter to, it says, Dear U.S. Senator, I'm assuming Chuck Schumer. That's probably who they wrote it to, or maybe just to the Democrat Senate in general. All right, so that'll be linked. And it goes on to say the letter added that disruptions to air travel and air traffic controller shortages have affected business owners and consumers alike, and that small business owners are feeling the pinch of ever-increasing costs and diminishing choices as they relate to healthcare coverage. With respect to the rising cost of health insurance premiums, small businesses have been the hardest hit by years of ever-increasing costs and diminishing choices. Premium tax credit expiration represents only a fraction of the reason why many small businesses are seeing hefty premium increases for next year. Lowering costs and increasing affordable choices will be resolved through comprehensive reforms that need to be addressed by Congress and state legislatures. Congress must commit to this important task as well, the letter stated. And it goes on a bit from there, but you can check that out for yourself on foxnews.com below. And from Rep. Rep. Marlin Stutzman, Democrats in the Senate just voted to keep the government closed for the 13th time. The looming lapse in SNAP dollars, federal worker paychecks, and American security at the end of this week is all because they want American tax dollars to pay for free healthcare for illegals. And from Speaker Mike Johnson, Democrats fear the far-left radicals in their base much more than they fear air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, and service members missing paychecks. They're more worried about losing their own political offices than they are about Americans going hungry. Even their own allies, the largest federal workers union and the Air Traffic Controllers Association, are begging them to stop the political games and pass the White House Clean CR funding bill, or pass the House's Clean CR funding bill to reopen the government. Democrats have an off-ramp. They just need the courage to take it.
The Democrats right now fear the far-left activists more than they fear air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, American service members, and so many others missing their paychecks. They fear the Marxist insurgents like Mamdani more than they fear families and children going hungry from lapsed benefits that keep food on their tables. They simply fear losing their own political positions next November if they don't appease the angry far-left base right now. And they will appease that base.
Well, what are they going to do? Vote Republican?
No matter how much pain's inflicted.
Or maybe they'll be primaried. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
This gets better for us day by day. How does it get better? Because they're proving to the angry far-left base in their party that they will prioritize them over the American people. And simply put, it's the profound fear in the Democratic Party that drives this shutdown. It is not principle. It is not policy. It is certainly not concern for the constituents that they say that they want to represent. We know that because even their own constituents now are begging Democrats to stop the political games and reopen the government. Just yesterday, the largest union of federal workers, the very people that the Democrats claim that they fight for, came out publicly and urged the Democrats to join the Republicans in passing the House's very simple short-term funding bill. Also, yesterday, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association began to put up flyers in airports to explain the real danger that is being imposed for air travel, air safety in this country, highlighting what the Democrats are doing. So I just want to say this simply to our Democrat colleagues. You have an off-ramp now. You painted yourself into a corner, but here's your off-ramp. The unions, the largest unions, are saying, please do this. You can claim that as cover and say that you had to do it. Reopen the government. Get it working for the people. It's our number one priority and responsibility as members of Congress.
Yeah, man, that's the ripple effect. It's spreading far and wide. Even the unions are turning against Democrats. That's wild. Senate Democrats breaking. Senator Jackie Rosen went to the Senate floor to pass a resolution that would condemn Trump's attempt to enrich himself with your tax dollars. Senator Rick Scott and Senate Republicans blocked it. Well, yeah, because they're worried about trying to reopen the government. They don't care about the stupid, anti-Trump orange man bad bullshit.
Donald Trump is seeking $230 million in payment from the Department of Justice. For who? Well, for himself. He's going to use your money to pad his own pockets instead of working with Democrats to take action to make sure that you and your family can go to the doctor without breaking the bank. So today, I'm introducing a resolution condemning Donald Trump's decision to pay and enrich himself with your tax dollars. You got that right. He's going to pay to enrich himself nearly $250,000.
Why don't you explain exactly how,
Donald Trump, off the backs of the American taxpayer.
I mean, this is her profile.
And if
it's her
my
video.
Republican colleagues who like to stand up here and talk all about cutting costs, cutting wasteful spending.
What is up with their eyebrows?
If they want to practice what they preach, they'll support my resolution.
It doesn't look natural.
They'll stand up to Donald Trump and say, finally,
I'm sorry,
finally, with the gold-plated dinners and the ballrooms, etc., that enough is enough, and it's time to put the American people first.
Is there objection?
I object.
Objection is heard.
Well, at least she dresses professionally. I guess. All right, from TSA, we've had several queries from the public about our donation policy during the shutdown. TSA management may accept donations from travelers on behalf of TSA, which will then be distributed to our frontline workforce. And they go on to say donations of food and non-alcoholic beverages and store or merchant-specific gift cards, such as gas, grocery store, restaurant, etc., are greatly appreciated. Please note TSA management may not accept cash or cash equivalent gift cards, such as Amex, MasterCard, Visa, etc. Additionally, our employees can't accept gifts while on duty at security checkpoints. For more information, please contact Ask TSA or text TRAVEL to 275-872. Thank you. So there you have it from TSA. Sounds like they're getting a big uptick in people trying to just give them gifts when they're passing through security. It's very nice of the public. Senate Republicans, America's hardworking air traffic controllers, are speaking out on the crushing toll of the Schumer shutdown. Quote, air traffic control is one of the most stressful jobs just on a regular day. Tack on financial uncertainty. How many more zero paychecks are we going to have to endure? Look, if you ask me, it's going to be months. It's going to be like months, like probably 5-6 months, maybe even longer than that.
We spoke to an air traffic controller this morning who says some of his coworkers are picking up shifts with Uber and DoorDash to make ends meet while they're not getting paid. He talked about how that kind of stress affects their ability to do their job.
Air traffic control is one of the most stressful jobs just on a regular day. Tack on financial uncertainty. We have no idea how long this government shutdown is going to end. How many more zero paychecks are we going to have to endure? It adds a certain level of distraction that is just not good for us when we have to be mentally fit, ready for duty, focused on the job at hand.
All right, for the record, I think the video cut me off. I said I pray that it won't stay shut down for that long. I hope it doesn't stay shut down for months. I'm just throwing out just a guess. I don't think that Democrats are going to blink on this anytime soon. I think if they were, I think they probably would have by now. They had an easy out with the No Kings protest because that's almost that Republicans were giving them an olive branch, really, to say, well, just blame the No Kings protest thing and your virtue signal to your radical leftist base, and now let's get the government reopened. But they didn't do that. They kept it shut down. So I think it's probably going to be shut down for the long haul. All right, Secretary Sean Duffy, $0. Democrats need to get it through their head that they are hurting American families. Open up the government. Look, dude, I really want the government to open back up. It's getting just really daunting going over the same thing because like 90% of the posts that I'm reading are exclusively about the shutdown. And a lot of the politicians that I read every day, it's basically copy and paste posts, like the same thing over and over. And it's getting difficult to find things that are not related to the government shutdown because it's just drowned out in all of this shutdown stuff. So, I mean, if there's anybody that wants to reopen it who's not financially benefiting from the government, it's probably me. So anyway, Caitlin Collins, this is what a pay stub for an air traffic controllers look like today. VO1 provided to Alexandra Scores. This is the first time that controllers aren't getting paid since the shutdown started. So there's their pay stub. Net pay at the top right, $0.00 for the pay period ending 10/8 of 2025, pay period number 22. And that's where they're standing now. So they've officially received their paycheck, or lack thereof. They got their statement, but they didn't get any money with it. And Senator Dick Durbin, the Trump administration is terrorizing people in their homes. Uh-oh. Immigrants are afraid to go to church, illegal immigrants, that is, the market, their children's schools, restaurants, all because of ICE. Yeah, ICE, which a lot of Democrats voted to create back after 9/11. A lot of Democrats, they put their names behind that to create ICE in the first place. That's kind of funny. That's not what America stands for. And of course, he got ruthlessly ratioed, almost 3-1 for that one, as most of his posts are. Again, that just illustrates, in my opinion, that Democrats, they're losing this fight. They're absolutely losing this by a wide margin. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you take a quick second to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And check out The Swamp, which drops Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, covering the daily happenings inside the federal machine. Thank you very much for watching.